In today's video, we are covering some of the best base building tips that every player should know. Knowing how to build a base is a great skill because you can defend more attacks, dissect enemy bases, and in turn become a better attacker. Hey, what's up guys, it's Jsmith Gaming here. Hope you guys are having a great day. In today's video, we are covering 10 base building tips that every player should know. Knowing what goes into a good base is really important because it allows you to defend more attacks, see flaws in other people's base designs, as well as in turn just making you a better overall attacker. But before we get into the first tip, if you guys could, please leave a like and subscribe if you learned something or if you just enjoyed the video. Let's go ahead and get into it. For point number one, I want to talk about base symmetry and anti-2-star bases. And honestly, the moral of this story is that pretty bases do not equal good bases. And what I'm talking about here is that a lot of symmetrical bases tend to have traps in the exact same mirrored location. So if we look at this base, if I look at this air sweeper and this expo right here, if there is a giant bomb right in there, I can almost guarantee when let's say I'm hogging the base, that there's also going to be another giant bomb right here on this side of the base next to this expo and air sweeper. So as an attacking point of view, it just makes it so much easier to predict where you're going to have to place your heals or your spells overall, and just where the traps are going to be because the base is very symmetrical. I'm not saying all symmetrical bases are bad, I'm just saying that it does make it much easier as an attacker to attack a base that is symmetrical. So if we were to look at this base, for example, I'm not saying this is the best base in the world, but if we're to look at it, you can see that the base is not symmetrical at all, and it's honestly kind of hard to see where the traps would be. Because there's so much space on the base, it is just very hard to see where the traps would be, and as you can see on this screen, all the traps are displaced differently across the map, and it would be very hard as an attacker to guess where the traps are going to be. So it's just something to take a note of, that pretty bases do not equal good bases. Let's go ahead and get into point number two. For point number two, we're talking about the distribution of your splash damage, more specifically your wizard towers. As you can see in the bottom left, I'm hitting this base with some Go Lalo, and the reason I'm doing so is because the wizard tower is right next to the air defense. And so the moral of the story is you want to make sure that your wizard towers are not in the radius of your air defenses, or at least not as close as this one is. Because as an attacker, if I just put one hound down and it's going to go to this air defense, I'm also going to be taking this wizard tower, and a wizard tower is one of the best defenses in the game at taking out air raids such as balloons, minions, or even bats. So you want to make sure that they are not locked on to the hound on your air defense. So I highly recommend that you spread out your wizard towers across the base evenly, but not too lopsided because you will get smashed by bats. So more of the story is spread out your wizard towers from your air defenses or you will get crushed by air. Let's go ahead and get into tip number three. For tip number three, we're going to be talking about air defense placement. I highly recommend that you guys keep your air defenses a little bit inside the base, so that way they are not easily accessible by queen walks or Sui heroes, because those strategies are huge currently in the game. If you have exposed air defenses, I guarantee you that you will get crushed by air 9 times out of 10 by a decent player. And especially at Town Hall 10 and Town Hall 8 and just some of the lower Town Hall levels, it is very easy to use Zap Drag and take out, if not all, but at least 3 air defenses that you have. So, for example, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and just enter in my heroes right here and then just Zap Drag the rest of the base, and it's almost a guaranteed 3-star. So what I recommend you do is you have an even spread of air defenses around the base. So let's go ahead and look at this base, for example. And although this base is far from perfect, this does have a pretty good spread of air defenses. And as you can see, none of them are easily accessible from the outside of the base, nor very easily accessible to be Sui. Because as you can see, all of these defenses are tucked in at least 4 squares in, so it's not reachable by a queen. And so I highly recommend that you guys do that, is have a good spread of air defenses across the base, as well as make sure they are tucked in so that way you cannot get Sui heroed. Let's go ahead and get into the next tip. For point number 4, we're going to be talking about Archer Queen placement. I highly recommend that you guys keep your queen inside your base and very protected. Your queen should be hard to access because she does so much damage, and if she is not taken out, she can ruin almost any raid that you put her up against. So for hogs, for example, she can pretty much 1 to 2 shot hogs and just absolutely obliterate hog raids. But if you have her exposed, such as right here, what's going to happen is you're going to have a decent player come by and go ahead and trade her off either with their heroes or with a P.E.K.K.A like so, and that is a GG for that. I as an attacker will take a trade for a enemy queen any day of the week whenever possible. So if you are trading for an enemy queen, I highly recommend using either your king or a P.E.K.K.A. Those are just some great heroes to trade with a queen. So more of the story is keep your queen inside your base, tucked away, not easily accessible for a swap, because she is very vital in helping your defenses stay alive. For point number 5, we're going to be talking about clan castle placement. As you can see on this base right here, this clan castle where it is currently placed is very easy to go ahead and pull. All you would need is probably a couple, like a giant or two, or maybe a balloon on this archer tower right here, and you should be able to pull the clan castle relatively easily. But that's exactly what we don't want to do on defense. You want to always try, hence the words try, to make it your clan castle as center as possible. It's not always possible on every single defensive layout. I understand that every base is different, but you should always try to always make sure that it is at least annoying for the attacker to go ahead and pull the clan castle. As you can see right here, it would take the attacker to invest a little bit or quite a bit of troops to go ahead and pull this clan castle here. So always try to make your clan castle as central as possible so that you can punish bad habits and make it annoying to pull. For point number 6, we're going to be talking about the use of Teslas as well as Tesla farms. I highly recommend everyone experiments using Teslas in a way that is kind of out of the ordinary sometimes. And what I mean by that is using them in a way that's outside of the base, more or less in something called a Tesla farm, which really is really good at throwing off attackers using troops such as either balloons or also hogs. And so something for this base, for example, as you can see, if someone was to enter in from this left side right here, what would happen is that they would go ahead and path in to this core area, but their troops would split from either they would go up here to the hogs and archer towers, as well as some would come down here from this air defense all the way down to this bottom cannon. And what's going to happen is when these troops are split from up here as well as to down here, it's going to make the attacker make a hard decision in where they want to heal their troops or what they want to do with their troops to make a play. So it's really good at making the attacker make a hard decision as well as throw off pathing, and you don't always have to invest a crazy amount of defenses or resources to that Tesla farm for throwing off pathing, for example. But even just as simple as two Teslas outside of the base with a trap in between it is a really good idea at just surprising the attacker and throwing them off a little bit, because that's what you really want to do, guys. Even if you can just defend one attack from a 3-star, that's all that really matters. It's just trying to defend as much as you can, even if it's just one time. So for the next point, we're going to be talking about the use of traps, more specifically spring traps and giant bombs. So for the first things first, when it comes to spring traps, I highly recommend that you only use them in a matter of in-between defenses, because if you're using them in a point such as, let's say I move this one to like over here, it's just not going to be nearly as effective if I have it in a predictable route of where troops will go, such as hogs or giants. So let's just say if hogs were in here, they're going to go from this Tesla to this Tesla to this Tesla, and they're almost guaranteed to get trapped by a couple spring traps, which will definitely thin out the hogs a little bit, increasing your chances of a successful defense. And when it comes to giant bombs, I highly recommend that you pair them up again in a similar fashion with spring traps in between defenses, as well as it's always a good idea to pair them up around splash defenses or even bomb towers, because let's say if an attacker has a bad habit of waiting to heal around one of those towers, well, you're just going to punish them even further and increase the likelihood that you have a successful defense. For point number 8, we're going to be talking about defensive spacing as well as compartments. As you can see on this bottom side right here, if someone was taking a queen walk where this builder hut is and just going across the base, what you're going to see is that they could knock out this elixir storage, this cannon, this elixir collector, and also this archer tower, but they could not take out this mortar as well as this archer tower. And the reason that is because the queen can shoot over a couple tiles over the wall, more specifically 3 tiles over the wall. So what you're going to see is they can take out this elixir collector and then this archer tower, but she cannot take these mortar as well as the archer tower because of the spacing they have. Just because it's moved over one space over can make a huge difference. And so what this is going to allow you to do is A, it's going to save a lot of your defenses from a queen walk, and 2, it's going to allow these defenses to keep shooting at the queen as she keeps moving down the line and taking out this archer tower, as she takes out this cannon as well as this elixir storage. And it's really just a great way to, like I said, protect your defenses as well as start hitting the queen and some of the outside troops more effectively from a distance. For point number 9, we're going to be talking about Inferno tower placement. Something that's very important at Town Hall 10 Plus is making sure that your Inferno towers are in a good spot to make sure that they cannot get picked off very easily, because Inferno towers are so good at helping you defend some attacks and just coming up so clutch. You want to make sure that they are not walkable. So, walkable by a queen right here, as you can see on this left side, there is a dead zone in between this wall right here, which does not give easy access for the queen to go ahead and wall break in or really just get access to the Inferno tower. And quite frankly, if a queen was to queen walk right now without actually trying to wall break in or enter for this Inferno tower, the Inferno tower would actually heat up a lot of the healers and kill them just based on the design of the base. But if I was to take away this dead zone right here, what you would see is that now the queen could go ahead and shoot over the wall and take out this Inferno tower. The only way I could really save it is if I moved up the Inferno tower, something like this. That way it is 3+ tiles over the wall, and so that way the queen can't go ahead and shoot it. But point is, guys, on this one is make sure that your Inferno towers are not exposed and easily accessed. So for our final tip today, that's going to be just talking about base building in general and also just building towards the current meta. As you guys are probably familiar with, changes are constantly happening in Clash of Clans, so you always got to see what's currently being used as well as what are the strongest attack strategies right now. And some of the best ways to go ahead and find out about what's working right now and what are the best attack strategies is actually by looking up tournaments and league play such as No Dip League, ESL play, as well as just World Championships as well. There's tons of tournaments always going on in the world of Clash of Clans, so that is a great way to not only look at some great base designs by some great builders, but it's just a great way to also see, hey, what's currently working right now and what do I really have to defend against. So that's going to be all for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one.